Throughout history, some of the greatest minds have shared their wisdom in the form of quotes. These quotes can inspire us, challenge us, and make us think about the world in new ways. In this video, we'll explore 40 of the most profound and thought-provoking quotes from philosophers, writers, and leaders around the world. These quotes will cover a wide range of topics, from the meaning of life to the nature of reality. So sit back, relax, and let these words of wisdom guide you on a journey of self-discovery and enlightenment. The measure of a man is not what he is, but what he wants to be. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Think for yourselves and look for truth as if you were going to discover it. Marcus Aurelius. The important thing is not to stop questioning. Curiosity has its own reason for existence. Albert Einstein. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. Steve Jobs. The greatest glory in living lies not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Nelson Mandela. The only limit to our realization of tomorrow will be our doubts of today. Franklin D. Roosevelt. Everything you've ever wanted is on the other side of fear. George Adair. Believe you can, and you're halfway there. Theodore Roosevelt. The only person you are destined to become is the person you decide to be. Ralph Waldo Emerson. Two things define you: your patience when you have nothing, and your behavior when you have everything. George Savile. The greatest enemy of knowledge is not ignorance, it is the illusion of knowledge. Stephen Hawking. The only way to deal with an unfree world is to become so absolutely free that your very existence is an act of rebellion. Albert Camus. The greatest test of courage is to act when the heart is scared. Edward Heskett. The mind is not a vessel to be filled, but a fire to be kindled. Plutarch. The difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little extra. Jimmy Johnson. The only way to avoid being a failure is to never try. J.K. Rowling. The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. Socrates. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Franklin D. Roosevelt. The only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it. Dale Carnegie. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. Steve Jobs. The only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance. Alan Watts. The only way to predict the future is to create it. Peter Drucker. The only way to overcome fear is to face it. Susan Jeffers. The only way to learn is to do. Aristotle. The only way to get rid of a temptation is to yield to it. Resist it, and your soul grows sick with longing for the things it has forbidden to itself. Oscar Wilde. The only way to be truly happy is to be someone who tries to make others happy. G.K. Chesterton. The only way to get the best out of others is to give them the best of yourself. Dennis Waitley. The only way to live is to die a little every day. Zen proverb. The only way to make sense out of life is to live it with purpose. Harold S. Kushner. The only way to grow is to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Michael J. Fox. The only way to get what you want is to go out and get it. Shia LaBeouf. The only way to make time for the things that matter is to stop wasting time on the things that don't. Matt Thomas. The only way to do great work is to love what you do. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking. Don't settle. Steve Jobs, second time. The only way to get the best of an argument is to avoid it. Dale Carnegie, second time. The only way to learn is to do. Aristotle, second time. The only way to make sense out of change is to plunge into it, move with it, and join the dance. Alan Watts' Second Time. The only way to predict the future is to create it. Peter Drucker's Second Time. The only way to overcome fear is to face it. Susan Jeffers' Second Time. The only way to be truly happy is to be someone who tries.